So one of the things that I have found out in my career so far is that we as content creators can come up with a lot of lies we tell ourselves, and those lies can prevent us from creating, from maybe um, being our best, if you will. And so I thought, you know what? Why don't I do a live today? And I'll tell you a little bit about why I'm doing live, and just kind of talk about what I think are five of the biggest lies that it's too easy for us content creators to believe. And full disclosure, I have probably struggled with all of these myself at some point, or otherwise I don't think I just kind of came up with just a list out of nowhere. But I do think at some point I did struggle with these, and so I thought, you know what, let's talk about it. Let's kind of see, if somebody else can relate to some of these. I mean, maybe you can, maybe you can't. Not really sure, but that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today. Is just the the uh, the lies that creators can believe that honestly I think can hurt them from being a YouTube creator. Now, um, I tend to use the word YouTube creator a lot instead of YouTuber. If you're a YouTuber, good for you. I was having a conversation once with my friend Owen Video, you might know him, and I said, I just don't consider myself a YouTuber. And he said, bro, if you're not a YouTuber, I'm not a YouTuber. And I think I just consider myself a creator more than anything, not necessarily a I'm a content creator. I'm a YouTube creator, but I wanted to share that. Now, one of the reasons I picked today to go live is it's my birthday. And I thought, you know what? What better gift to give than you get to talk to me on my birthday? so, um, but we're gonna that'll become apparent here in just a second. So, if you are watching this live or on the replay, you want to say, hey, I would love it. I'll probably stream this out later on my podcast. And as we're going through the excuses, feel free to add your own excuse as well, because I don't think these are the definitive five. I say excuses. I think they're really lies. I think these are lies that we feel like we can believe at some point. And again, if you got any questions, you just want to throw anything out there, drop them in the comments. Already got some folks there. Tech Troublemaker, good morning to you, my friend. Good to see you. So let's hop into this. By the way, do you remember I was going to play the clip and I figured I'd either get the video demonetized or I'd get a ding. The movie A Few Good Men. Oh, there's that scene. I actually watched it right before the live stream. That scene where, if you've never seen the movie, you got to go watch it. Hopefully this doesn't spoil anything, but there's a scene where Tom Cruise's character he's kind of like, what did they call it, JAG or whatever. He's like a military attorney, and he's interrogating Jack Nicholson's character, who's an officer. I don't know if he might be I don't know if he was a general or whatever. And he just keeps pushing him and pushing him. And there's that great line that you may have even heard and didn't know it's from the movie, where Nicholson goes, and Tom Cruise goes, "I want the truth," and Nicholson goes, "You can't handle the truth." It's like, oh. So I don't want you to approach. I don't want this video to come across as like, well, I can't handle the truth. But I think if you're honest with yourself, and I'm going to be honest with myself on these too, it's one of those things. So here's the first excuse: is you are too old. One of my favorite things is when somebody, in fact, I just had this on a comment the other day. And again, by the way, if you're just joining us, today is my birthday, and I'm older than I was yesterday. Um, but I had a comment once on a video that said, "You need to act your age," and I think my response was, "Well, that's all I can act, because whatever age I am right now is the age I am." And we've got three kids, and two are grown and out of the house. But there used to be this thing where you would say, you look at your child and go, "You need to act your age." Well, if he's 8, he's probably acting your age. But again, the excuse of you're too old to create content. You're too old for YouTube. Well, first of all, I always ask the question, says who? I mean, who in the world said out there. Now, I realize you can be too young. You have to be at least 13 years of age to do that. You know what? I forgot to, there we go. You have to be at least 13 years of age to have a social media account. And I know there's a lot of things going on right now in politics about, there's this thing about, young people shouldn't be on social media and stuff like that. And I don't want to get in all that. I do have thoughts about that. But, as far as being too old, heck no. So check this out. If you're not familiar with these folks, from left to right, that's Lucille Ball. In the middle, that's C.S. Lewis. And beside him, the guy on the trumpet is Louis B. Armstrong, or some people may say Louis B. Armstrong. But notice the number under those. So Lucille Ball, 40, C.S. Lewis, 40, and Louis Armstrong, 64. So I don't know if you knew this, but surely you're familiar with the show, I hope. Lucille's I Love Lucy. I Love Lucy, she created that when she was 40. Which, by the way, I don't know if you ever watched any of the older shows, which are great, aren't they? But it'll say, like, filmed at Desilu. Desilu was her studio. She created a whole studio. Andy Griffith's show was shot there. Star Trek, the original Star Trek, was shot there. Desilu stood for Desi and Lucy. Desi Arnaz was her husband. Oops. Lucy was 40 when she created I Love Lucy. C.S. Lewis was 40 when he wrote The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, which was a series of books, which also turned into not a bad series of movies. Louis B. Armstrong was 64 when Hello, Dolly was released. I mean, so you're too old to create content? You're too old to be on YouTube? Well, okay. All right, so let's talk about YouTube. Have you heard of this channel? It's Gamer Grandma. Gamer Grandma. She has over 29 million views. 29 million views and over 500,000 subscribers. You know how old Gamer Grandma is? She's 93. And you may go, well, it's probably an older channel. Do you know she just posted her most recent video is 2 weeks old? She's 93. She's a 93 gamer. My mother-in-law, when she was living, she was a gamer, and that's why when you get into these, like, target audience and things like that, you got to be careful, because she was a gamer and she could kick her butt in Wii Sports, and she was really good at it. And so it's a mindset. It's a lie that we can easily tell ourselves, that you are too old to create content. You're too old to be on YouTube, and I don't agree with that. In fact, speaking of C.S. Lewis, I love this quote: "You are never too old to set another goal or dream another dream." Isn't that really cool? All right, next lie I hear all the time that I think we can tell ourselves is, expensive. It's too expensive. Kevin, it's too expensive to start creating content. Well, yeah, if you're going to try and keep up with a lot of the high dollar influence tech people out there, that every time there's a new drone, every time there's a new gimbal, every time there's a new, I love Canon, and they keep coming out with cameras like everybody does. Well, I got to buy that. I got to buy that. It's like, seriously? Really? No, you don't. You don't have to buy any of that. So you can actually start with a little, but for those of you that say that you really believe this lie, that it's too expensive to start, let's talk about Starbucks. I love coffee. I don't like Starbucks. Sorry, you have to plant your flag where you want to plant them, right? I'm not a Starbucks fan at all. I think it's overpriced. I think the coffee's just okay. I'm also not a Dunkin' Donuts fan either. I like more local coffee shops too. But if you were to buy a cup of coffee every day for a year at Starbucks, which a lot of people do, you would end up paying over $1,000, actually over $1,221. That's for 1 year. Now, some of these stats are a little old, so it actually may be more now. So just keep that in mind. If you're a Starbucker, it'd be $1,221. So consider this. If you were to buy that mic, that is the Samsung Q2U, I've got that mic, and a webcam. And this is the one from Elgato. It's the face cam. Nothing fancy. It's really nice. That would set you back, you ready for this, a big whopping $188. Now, you may say, Kevin, that's still a lot of money. And I get it. I mean, it's almost $200. Do you have a phone? Use your phone. Now, granted, right now I'm using a Canon M6 Mark II with a lens, 16 millimeter lens, and this mic. Even this mic is $99, and I think it sounds pretty good. You don't have to spend a ton. So my point of showing you that is if you wanted to get a webcam and you wanted to get a mic, it set you back for $188. So compared to people that just can't live without their Starbucks. But again, if you don't even want to spend the money, but you want to create, use your phone. And there's free platforms out there like Spotify. Now, it used to be Anchor, but if you remember, Spotify bought Anchor. And you can actually have a podcast on there. It's called now Spotify for Podcasters for free. You could be on YouTube for free. You could use a service like StreamYard for free. Now, I am using today Ecamm to do this, but I also use StreamYard. In fact, to me, StreamYard, Ecamm, they're really the two best out there. There's some differences to it, but this video is not about selling you on either one of those. But my point is, you wanted to do a podcast? Use Spotify. You wanted to use the best video platform? Use YouTube. You need a program to live stream and or just record? Use StreamYard. There's free programs out there to get you going. All right, another one. I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. So I've battled this. Have you? Let me know in the comments, have you battled this? A lot of folks call it imposter syndrome. And it's that thing that, if I start talking about something, people are going to realize that I don't know everything about it. And the reality of it is you probably won't know everything about it. So it turns into comparison. And the reality is that comparison can kill creativity. I mean, extremely fast. Now, I do believe in learning. I am curious of other creators in my space, in my niche that do what I do. How do they do it? I mean, everything from how do they get in and out of videos and stuff like that. But when you start comparing yourself, it's just deadly, because the thing that tends to happen a lot of times is we don't see how people started. I love Sean. I don't know if you know Sean Cannell, Think Media, but every once in a while he'll share his first video, and it is so bad and it's so funny. But when you get into it, and you see where he's come. So it's easy to look at somebody's now and go, well, I'm not that good. But that's not the point either. You can always learn new skills, and you can always experiment. You don't have to stay stuck where you are. You don't have to just go, oh, well, I can't ever evolve. I mean, here's the reality of it is, this is the truth. There's always going to be somebody better than you. I mean, I am a really, really good editor, and there's people better than me. I think I'm really good at communicating this way. There are a lot of people better than me. So there's always going to be somebody that probably knows something more than you. There's probably always going to be somebody that's a little better than you at something. But you know what? There's always going to be somebody that doesn't know as much as you do that needs what you're telling them. So that's something to think about. All right, another one. Don't know enough. I don't know enough. I don't know enough to share anything. I don't know enough to teach or anything like that. Well, let me share a quote from Pat Flynn. Do you know who Pat Flynn is? Pat Flynn is an author, a podcaster, entrepreneur. He's got a channel called Pat Flynn. He started a channel, was it a year ago? 2 years ago, called Deep Pocket Monster. It's all about Pokemon, and it has done so well. I'm not even into Pokemon, and I've watched some of the videos and enjoyed it. But Pat Flynn said, you don't need to be the expert on a topic. You just need to be somebody who knows a little bit more than somebody else. And if you think about that, a lot of times people want to learn from somebody who knows some more than they do. Because, I mean, look, there are those guys in the space that they know so much that they're just intimidating to talk to. And it's just not fun. But you don't have to know everything. Again, you just need to know a little bit more than somebody else. So when you get into that, well, I don't know enough. Well, how much do you really need to know? I mean, let's think about it. How much do you really need to know to teach something about what you want to teach about? Now, here's my challenge. You've got one thing. You've got one thing, at least one thing. I think you've got more than that. At least one thing in your life or in your business or a hobby or a passion that you know better than anybody else because it's you. I think sometimes we discount our own experiences and we discount our own life, that we think, well, there's just nothing that, I can do because I just don't know that much. And sometimes that can be the hardest thing to stop. So I want to pop this comment in. Yeah, absolutely. I have thought that I am not good enough and I am an imposter. Yeah, and my gear isn't good enough. Phases as well. Yeah, I've finally passed all that, and good for you. Yeah, I tell you, it's hard to get past, isn't it? And I'm not calling you out because I've done that too. Is that, you, especially in the YouTube world, and thank you for sharing that too. Steve saying happy birthday. Thank you, bro. Especially in the YouTube world, you put together a video and you're thinking, hey, man, I feel really good about this. I spent a lot of time on it. You put it out there and it's like crickets. Nothing happens. Now, I do believe that YouTube is a long game. If you're trying to play the viral game, I think, it can be a losing proposition. It really can. But I think if you're playing the long game, and I'll be honest, I've had videos take off that I didn't think would do anything. I didn't even put that much time into it. Probably the thumbnail was done at the very last minute. I broke all the rules. Now I've done other ones that I've put, I've done all the research and I've done everything and they just bomb. But that's the way it goes. So another quote, another one from Pat Flynn. I love this one. You don't need to create something that changes the entire world. Okay, I really want you to pay attention to this quote. This one I keep going back to a lot. You don't need to create something that changes the entire world. You just need to create something that changes somebody's world. For me, and by the way, Tech Troublemaker, oh wow, appreciate that super chat. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Thank you. I have fallen prey to this, that I've got to do something that reaches the world. Now I've used the phrase, share your gifts and make an impact in the world, make an impact with the world. And I've had folks kind of challenge me on that. It's like, well, what if I don't want to make an impact in the world? What if it's just one of my neighborhood or something like that? And people want to make impacts in different ways. I agree. I do believe we need to be sharing our gifts. But, again, if you go back to this, we're not trying to change the world, just somebody's world. And so it gets back to that thinking one versus many. That so years ago, I used to work for, my background's in television. I worked in television for a long time. And one of the things that the company that I worked for at the time, I was with this television company for like 24 years before they eliminated the position, and that's cool. And it was a locally owned company, TV station, which is rare in this business, that business. And one of the things that they said is that you build your audience one at a time. The owner of the company, which was started like in the 40s or 50s, believed it was like one person at a time. And in television it was called broadcasting. And it's not lost on me that YouTube, when you see a video like the other day, and I'm not saying this to flex or anything. I'm shocked that I got this thing from well, YouTube, that I had hit 30,000 hours of watch time. And I had to actually do the math. That's over 4 years. And that blows my mind. But again, it's that steady of just being out there. And I still believe that when I'm creating content, what I want to believe, what I'm trying to do, is that I think of the one over the many. So if I can help one person do something, if I can help one person just create, that's a great day, right? That's a great day. Tech is saying here, my biggest joy is when someone comments my video, help them. Yes, isn't that cool? It's worth more to me than subscribers or monetization because it is my why to be. Oh, I love that. I love that. And you know what? There's a buddy of mine, Eddie Field Guide to DIY, and he shared a comment that he got the other day, and it was beautiful. It was this lady who's lost her husband, and she's watching his videos so she can learn how to do stuff around his home. And that's just really cool, isn't it? So, but as we're talking about and the excuses and the lies, I want to get to the next one. You ready? There's nothing new to say. There's nothing new to say. Now, let me know. Have you said that? Have you thought that? One of the lies, there's nothing new to say. It's all been said. So I'm going to go to one of my favorite sources for this. It's called the Bible. It's from Ecclesiastes 1:9. What has been will be again. What has been done will be done again. There is nothing new under the sun. So there you go. Let that be something that helps you. If you're thinking, well, there's nothing new to say, yeah, I mean, there's nothing new under the sun. Now, there's different ways of saying it. There's different ways of doing it. I couldn't tell you what they were, but somebody told me once that there's basically 5 stories that Hollywood bases everything on. Or I guess maybe it's not just Hollywood. All stories are based on. And every Hollywood show, every Hollywood movie you watch is a derivative of one of those. And when you boil them down, they're very, very basic. So speaking of Hollywood, let's talk about Hollywood for a second. And remember, this is the lie. There's nothing new to say. So therefore, if there's nothing new to say, then why even create? Why even be on YouTube? Why even do anything? All right, so let's talk about Hollywood. And I love TV and I love movies, but if there's ever a place that can absolutely beat something to death, it's Hollywood. There's a reason they keep rebooting Spider-Man, right? It's not because they really think they can tell a better story, because here's the thing. The origin story never changes. He always gets bit. Peter Parker always gets bit by a radioactive spider. That's it. And he's always going to have insecure issues. And he's always going to be young. They haven't done an old, Spider-Man movie yet. Even Batman, I'm a huge Batman fan. It's been done over and over and over again. But Hollywood loves to do remakes. So, for example, remember, this is the lie, nothing new to say, right? Let's take A Christmas Carol. Can you guess how many times Hollywood has remade this story? Well, I'll give you a hint. Look at that. 1901 was the very first one. Then they did it again in 1935, 38, 51, 70, 1984, 1988, 1992, and 2009. 9 times so far. I may have missed one. Hollywood has remade A Christmas Carol, and guess what? It's the same story every time, even with the Muppets. It's the same thing, even with the Muppets. So when you say there's nothing new to say, well, it hasn't stopped Hollywood. But Kevin, we're talking about YouTube. Okay, let's take it to YouTube. Do you know if you go to YouTube and type in how to unclog a toilet, there are 588,000 videos that'll pop up. How to unclog a toilet. And at the time of when I was creating this, over 640,000 monthly searches. Now, if you think about it, and I'm not a plumber, so if you're a plumber watching this, I apologize. How many different ways can you unclog a toilet, right? But at some point, somebody else did another video about it, and I'm sure they're all different links. I've got videos that have done really well. I've got a video, still blows my mind, that is like a minute and a half on how to change a thumbnail on a YouTube video after you upload it. I got the idea from a Facebook group. There's a tip for you. And it's done huge because you know what? I'm sure there's other videos out there, but somebody needed to know. It goes back to that one versus many thing, right? So, if you think about it that way, so what I would say is like I'm looking at my notes because I want to make sure I don't miss this. Yeah, is that your take and your experience is something that nobody else has. I mean, nobody else has. And so when you approach it that way, you can start battling all these other ones. You don't have to know everything. It doesn't matter if it's already been done before. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter what gear you have. That you have a story to share that is worth sharing, whatever that is, whatever you want to do. I love this quote. I love this quote from Saint Catherine of Siena. Be who you were created to be, and you will set the world on fire. I have no idea where you are right now in your creator journey, where you are on YouTube. I'm assuming you have a YouTube channel or you can't comment. But I really hope that the 5 lies we've talked about, that you will really take an internal look at yourself and not let those stop you from using your gifts and creating and sharing your gifts with at least one person. You never ever know who's going to need what you have to say. So I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. If you have some other lies you want to add to this, thank you for the super chat. Thank you for letting me spend some of my birthday time with you. And again, if you're watching this on the replay, make sure you drop some comments in there. I always like to go back to that. So keep creating because the world does need you. And keep watching too. I'm Kevin. Peace out.